The scream of twisting metal tore through the bright afternoon like a warning from fate itself. And in the middle of the busy city crossing, one man ran toward danger while everyone else froze. The sun was high, traffic lights blinking uselessly, glass sparkling on the asphalt, and a black luxury car sat crushed against a divider, smoke curling into the blue sky. Inside that car, a powerful woman's life was slipping away second by second, and the only person who noticed was a single father who had nothing in this world except his child and his quiet sense of right and wrong. Before this story truly begins, take a moment and ask yourself something simple but powerful. If you believe kindness deserves second chances, if you believe ordinary people can change extraordinary lives, then please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope today, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel Kindness Touch. Your small action helps stories like this reach hearts that are still waiting to believe. That man was named Ariz Halim, a 36-year-old single father who lived his life almost invisible to the city around him. He worked 2 daytime jobs, one as a maintenance assistant in a public library and another as a food delivery rider, all to make sure his 8-year-old daughter Samira never slept hungry and never felt abandoned the way he once had. Ariz carried exhaustion in his shoulders and responsibility in his eyes, but he also carried something rarer, a calm moral compass that did not ask questions before acting. That afternoon, he had just finished a delivery and was crossing the road under the harsh midday sun when destiny crashed into his path. The woman trapped inside the car was Nadira Voss, a 41-year-old CEO known across the corporate world for her sharp mind, disciplined leadership, and emotional distance. She ran a multinational tech firm, controlled boardrooms with precision, and rarely allowed herself to be seen as vulnerable. That day she had been on her way to a charity luncheon, sunlight pouring through her windshield, her thoughts divided between quarterly numbers and a speech about social responsibility she barely believed in anymore. The crash came without mercy, a speeding truck jumping the signal, a moment of disbelief, then impact. Ariz did not know her name, her status, or her wealth. All he saw was smoke, a woman slumped forward, and blood tracing down her temple as the car door jammed shut. While people shouted and filmed from a distance, Ariz ran. He forced the door with raw strength fueled by fear and instinct, ignoring the burn in his palms. He pulled her free just as flames licked the engine, dragging her onto the pavement, shielding her head from the ground, pressing his jacket against her wound. The sun beat down, sirens wailed in the distance, and for a brief moment their lives intersected in silence and chaos. Paramedics arrived quickly, lifting Nadira onto a stretcher, oxygen mask placed over her face, her breathing shallow but alive. Ariz stepped back, hands trembling, heart pounding, clothes stained with soot and blood. No one asked his name, no one thanked him. Before the crowd could turn their attention toward him, he faded into it, picked up his bicycle from where it had fallen, and rode away toward the next responsibility waiting for him. He was late to pick up Samira from school, and in his world that mattered more than recognition. Nadira woke hours later in a private hospital room flooded with daylight. The windows were large, the city visible below. Life continuing as if nothing had happened. Doctors told her she was lucky, that someone had pulled her from the car moments before it caught fire. She listened, numb, her mind replaying flashes of smoke and sunlight, and a pair of unfamiliar eyes filled not with fear but resolve. For the first time in years, Nadira felt small, mortal, and shaken by the realization that her life had been saved by a stranger who had expected nothing in return. Days passed, and the story made headlines, but the focus was on the miracle survival of the CEO, not the man who had vanished. Nadira asked her team to find him, quietly at first, then with growing urgency. Security footage was reviewed, witnesses questioned, but Ariz had left no trail. He returned to his routine, mopping library floors under bright skylights, delivering food through sunlit streets, helping Samira with homework at the kitchen table while the afternoon light softened the cracks in their small apartment walls. Ariz never told his daughter what he had done. To him, it was not a story worth telling. He believed kindness was an obligation, not a performance. Yet life continued to test him. His delivery job reduced hours, bills stacked up, and the library announced potential layoffs. Ariz carried the weight silently, smiling for Samira, promising her things he was not sure he could afford. Still, every morning he woke with the sun and chose integrity over bitterness. Nadira, on the other hand, could not let go. The brush with death cracked something open inside her. Board meetings felt hollow, profits meaningless. She began visiting the accident site during lunch breaks, standing under the same daylight, watching ordinary people cross the road, wondering which one of them had held her life in his hands. Eventually, a street vendor mentioned a man matching Ariz's description, a cyclist who passed through daily around noon. It took weeks, but one bright afternoon, Nadira saw him. He was locking his bicycle outside the library, sunlight reflecting off the worn metal frame, his posture tired yet steady. She watched from across the street, heart racing, the powerful CEO suddenly unsure how to approach a man who had done what no amount of money could buy. When she finally crossed over, Ariz was already inside, pushing a cleaning cart down a sunlit corridor lined with books. Nadira followed quietly, observing him as he worked, noticing the care in his movements, the way he straightened a fallen book without thinking. When she finally made herself known, Ariz looked up, confusion crossing his face before recognition dawned. He understood instantly who she was, not because of her status, but because of the eyes. He nodded politely, uncomfortable with the attention, and tried to excuse himself back to work. Nadira felt an unexpected sting behind her eyes. She thanked him, not with grand gestures, but with sincerity that surprised even herself. Ariz listened, then simply said he was glad she was alive and returned to his duties. There was no bitterness in him, no expectation. That humility stayed with her longer than any speech she had ever heard. Over the following days, Nadira learned about Ariz through quiet observation and discreet inquiries. She learned about Samira, about the long hours, about the single-parent life built on sacrifice. She also learned about the layoff list and Ariz's name sitting dangerously close to the top. This time, Nadira did not act as a CEO seeking credit, but as a human being seeking balance. Without publicity or announcements, the library received an anonymous donation that secured jobs and funded a children's reading program. Ariz was promoted to facilities supervisor, a small raise that felt like a miracle. He never connected it to Nadira, never asked questions. He simply continued showing up, grateful, steady, unchanged. Months later, under a clear daytime sky, Ariz attended Samira's school event, watching her perform on stage with pride swelling in his chest. In the crowd, unnoticed by most, Nadira stood at the back, smiling softly. She had learned something from the man who saved her life and disappeared. She had learned that true power often moves quietly, that kindness does not wait for applause, and that second chances are not given, they are chosen. As the applause filled the hall and sunlight streamed through the windows, Nadira felt something close to peace. Ariz felt it too, though he did not know why. Two lives forever altered by one selfless act, moving forward separately, yet connected by a moment of courage that asked for nothing and gave everything. If this story reached into your heart, if it reminded you that goodness still exists in simple, everyday people,